Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. How do I say it without sounding too harsh? It was acceptable, but as always, before I get into my review, if you're new to this channel, hello and welcome. I summarize and review the latest Serkan Kapımı episode, say what I like, what I didn't like, what I think might happen next. If you like these kinds of videos, like, comment, share, but most importantly subscribe so we can meet on a weekly basis. As I already said, it was acceptable. It wasn't the best by far. It wasn't the worst, but it could go there if they continue this storyline and dragging it that much. It could get worse and worse, and it's just exhausting for me. Trust me, I've seen a lot of series, and I know when I see transitional episodes and amnesia plot lines, but Serkan Kapımı is dragging it way too much, and it's just getting frustrating and draining and just meh. But like I said, I don't want to sound too harsh. I still like the series and I'm still hopeful that they will get back on the right track. But at the moment, it's just like painful to watch at times, even though there are. I'm not saying it was bad. It's just that the whole episode could have been better, and there were a couple of moments that I really enjoyed, but all in all, it was just meh. But before we get into the Aydah and Serkan storyline, let's talk about the side storylines. I do think that I can talk about them quite quickly and summarize them. So first we have Ceren and Ferit. Ferit is still trying to help Ceren and even recommending his psychiatrist to Ceren to go there to make her feel better. But she just tells him that she goes, but she's not actually going, and the doctor is calling Ferit that Ceren didn't show up. So he's questioning her why she's doing that, and she's very deflecting, I don't care what you think, I'm doing my thing, you can't force me, blah blah blah. So still not being really well. And what we find out is, because in my last review I said that Serkan actually called Ferit, but it was actually Ceren that called Ferit, and Ceren talked to Serkan about Aydah and Deniz's game, so that everything is a lie and Aydah is just trying to make Serkan jealous, blah blah blah. So it's just a game between Aydah and Deniz. That's why Serkan is trying to get this truth from Aydah, which I'm going to talk later about. But because Ferit tells Serkan that Ceren is having some mental problems and is not taking her medication, and that she interprets and takes everything the wrong way, that's when Serkan is like, oh my god, did she tell me the wrong information, and that it's not true that Aydah is playing a game with me and that she's really having a wedding with Deniz. Then we have Engin and Pogo. Nothing major happened with them, but because Serkan, knowing that Aydah is playing a game with him, he wants to kind of set a trap for Aydah and Deniz. So he's asking for Engin's help. Engin is planning this whole yoga thing for the whole team, and Aydah and Deniz should come as well. And during that session, or whatever you call it, they're doing a relationship test, kind of a trust fall, and just questions that a partner should be able to answer. So like the favorite color, favorite food, and then the last question is biggest dream they want to achieve together. But I'm going to talk about that later, because Engin was kind of plotting this with the yoga instructor, and you could really see that the yoga instructor was attracted to Engin, but he was kind of like keeping a distance. Pogo came in while he was talking to that woman. She was already suspicious, but then when Melek and Erdem were outside, because Melek knows the secret of Aydah and Deniz, and Erdem is sensing that Melek knows something, he's following her and trying to get the secret out of her. They see Engin with that yoga instructor, so they're trying to tell Pogo the truth, but can't really do it. So Pogo gets a message that Engin is cheating on her. Melek sees how down Pogo is and tries to convince her that maybe it was just sent to the wrong person, because there's no name in this message. So her plan now is to try to find out the truth if Engin is really cheating on her. Yeah, is there anything else with them? I don't think so. Melek being an amazing friend, trying to convince Aydah that Serkan is really falling in love with her. She just needs to give him some time and just to be patient. And then we have Aydah and Ayfer. Their storyline in short is just that Chef Alexander and a friend are blackmailing Aydah and Ayfer, messing with their head, him appearing in places, them being like, oh my god, did I see him, did I not see him ringing the doorbell at Ayfer's place, Safety answering the door, telling everybody that he saw Chef Alexander, but Chef Alexander disappeared. Anyways, they're getting blackmailed from that man, telling them that they should give him a certain amount of money because he has Chef Alexander, and then he also sends them a video of Chef Alexander being dead. And then when they give the money to that guy, Chef Alexander arrives, thanks them for the money, takes the guy with the money, and then they just drive off, and that's it. So yeah, and now I think we can move on to the Aydah and Serkan storyline. So we continue right where we left off, so after the kiss, and it was a real kiss. So he was trying to remember her by kissing her, and she's really, oh my god, you remember me? But he's like, no, I don't, but I try to remember you by kissing you. So she gets so worked up, so screamy, so obnoxious, and I was like, oh my god, are we doing this again? This is just getting so exhausting. And I mean, it was just so frustrating to see Aydah like that once again. And honestly, Melek is the only voice of reason in this episode, because she's telling Aydah to be patient because Serkan is showing signs that he's falling for her, but he's still very apprehensive because he sees how Aydah is acting with Dennis. So yeah, her just getting frustrated that Serkan is not remembering her. And I mean, I kind of understand her frustration that she just wants to be with the love of her life. But at the same time, I'm like, don't force him. Just be there, be near him. You should try to make him fall in love with you once again, not make him jealous because you're with another person. It's just a wrong way of trying to get back his memory, in my opinion. She should have just reenacted all those moments they had together, like the one at the university, like the one she did with the handcuffs. She could have done so many more things, but she didn't. She chose to go the way with Dennis and make Serkan jealous, which is like, oh my god, that's why you're dragging it so much, and it's just like so tiring in my opinion. Like I said, Melek is the only voice of reason. Aydah saying that Serkan is doing everything on purpose, that he won't remember me, and I was like, girl, just shut up, please. Then we see Aydah by the water just thinking. Dennis calling her because he's with Celine to think about their next step. When Aydah is calling Dennis back, she's already at the company, and he tells her that Celine told him that she will go to a designer for the wedding dress, blah blah blah. That's what gets Aydah more and more worked up and angry. And then to get back at Serkan, she enters the office talking to Dennis about the wedding venue and the wedding in general. Serkan is not liking it, being really jealous, so I really liked Serkan being jealous in this episode. Anyways, he then tells her that love is something beautiful, and Aydah is really confused, where is this coming from? Then Aydah goes to talk to the girls about Serkan being so weird and talking about love and being so close to her, and Jagan is also there, and I do think that she was feeling kind of bad that she told Serkan the truth. And then we see Melek going to Serkan and kind of warning him, if you hurt Aydah, you're messing with me as well, or something like that. Like, she's such an amazing character, such an amazing friend. Then there's this new guy, I think his name is Ateş or something. Like, he has a new project for Art Life, and in order for Serkan to also get Dennis on board and to have a close eye on him, he suggests to Dennis to join their project because he's a mastermind in restoration or something like that. Aydah at first is declining, but then Dennis is accepting it because he thinks that that would make Serkan more jealous or something like that. Anyways, they're all involved in this new project. Then Ateş is telling them, or not really asking them, but telling them that he wants Aydah to close the fashion show in this new building or whatever for his company, and also that this new location should be a hotspot in Istanbul, should be like Paris and Milan or something, like a fashion hotspot. hotspot if I'm not mistaken, and he really wants Aydah to close the fashion show with her fiance Dennis. Then Engin is suggesting that they should all relieve some stress and he knows this place, blah blah blah. Serkan and Celine are going. Serkan is inviting Aydah and Dennis as well, but at first she's declining, but then I don't know what Celine is saying, like I don't remember it anymore, but in the end Aydah and Dennis are going as well, just to show off their coupling moments kind of. Oh, and what I forgot to say is when Ateş was telling Aydah that he wants her and her fiance Dennis to close the fashion show, Serkan's facial expressions and just his gestures were amazing. I really like that, and that's one moment that I really enjoyed in this episode, just Serkan being jealous. Then we have them at that yoga place, and that yoga instructor is telling them to close their eyes and do blah blah blah, think of something, and Serkan didn't close his eyes. He was watching Aydah, and then she opened her eyes and you could see a tiny smile, and it was just so adorable, so tiny. And then the yoga instructor was like, please everybody close your eyes, but they were having this little game, like him opening one eye and her doing the same, like there was this little moment between them, and that's also one thing that I really enjoyed in this episode. Then we have this relationship test, which I already talked about, and right before Dennis and Aydah had to tell the biggest dream they want to achieve together, Melek turns off the lights because Aydah and Dennis were so panicking because the generic things they knew about each other, like food and color and favorite something with literature or something like that. Serkan was so disappointed because that was kind of the thing that would prove to him if Aydah and Dennis really know each other and are really together. Then the next day, Serkan is still very upset about the fact that he didn't find out the truth and is venting to Engin. And when he goes to his office, Aydah is also coming and being really happy about the wedding venue, blah blah blah, kind of rubbing it in his face, the whole wedding preparation stuff. So because he's so annoyed with this whole wedding stuff and Aydah being happy with Dennis, he wants to relieve some stress. But before that, I think that's when Aydah gives him a folder, so the pictures, and he's just acknowledging them but putting them aside and not looking inside, where I was like, oh my god, why didn't you look? So before we see Aydah and Serkan boxing, we see Celine going to Serkan's office, seeing the envelope, looking inside and finding out about the pictures. So when she's telling Dennis, he's losing it. He's blaming her because it looks like somebody from her side did this and just blaming her. So it just shows that he didn't have anything to do with it. And I'm really interested to see who was it really. Maybe it was Ceren, because she wants to break up Celine from Serkan so Serkan can go back to Aydah and Aydah will leave Dennis, and that way Dennis will be free for her. That could be a possibility. Anyways, then we see Serkan and Aydah boxing together, him pulling her very close, asking her if she really wants to marry Dennis. She starts punching him, then knocking him out. And then as soon as Serkan opens his eyes, she's like, I hate you, Serkan Bolat. And I was like, oh my god, okay. Well, I think that it's her way of saying I love you, but anyways. Then he's asking her if she always hated him, and she says yes. Then she's telling him that he shouldn't get too close to her, and Serkan then wants her to tell the truth, if she's really in love with Dennis and if she really wants to marry him. And Aydah is saying yes, and he's like, think well. That's when Dennis comes, and I'm like, oh my god, like, why are you always coming? And then Serkan is not being stupid. He asks them, well, what was the answer for last night's last question? But both of them, Aydah and Dennis, are not answering them, and I was like, well, this is a sign for you, Serkan, that there is nothing between them. Then we see Aydah and Dennis talking in the office and her being just done with everything, with the whole game, but he's kind of urging her and motivating her and telling her to continue this game because they're so close to Serkan remembering her. Then Serkan is venting to Engin, and that Ceren told him a misinformation, blah blah blah, and Aydah and Dennis might really get married, and Engin is like, well, just call and find out if they really are getting married. So when Serkan enters the office where Dennis and Aydah are talking about her quitting, blah blah blah, they're talking about the wedding venue and they want to plan everything nicely, blah blah blah, and Serkan's reactions were as always amazing, being jealous. And when Aydah and Dennis are going out, Serkan is talking on the phone asking for a wedding date if that person can check on it, and Dennis overhears it because he forgot his phone. Then we see everybody going to that location of the fashion show. Reporters are there asking Aydah and Dennis some questions. Aydah is getting ready for the fashion show. She's very nervous, and then Melek has an idea that she tells Dennis to fake an injury so that Serkan can go on the catwalk with Aydah. So Aydah doesn't know anything about it, and when Melek is kind of trying to convince Serkan to replace Dennis, the owners, so Ateş and his wife I believe, are there as well and are begging Serkan to do it. So Melek's plan worked. Serkan changed into this fashion outfit, goes to Aydah. She's very surprised to see him like that, and then they have this whole fashion show and she's really happy that they got it over with, and she hugs him, and Dennis and Celine are coming. That's when Aydah is finding out that Dennis had a minor accident because Serkan is telling him get well soon. So Aydah is like, well, what happened? And that's when Dennis tells her. Ateş also invited Aydah, Dennis, Celine and Serkan on his yacht because that's what Ferit told Serkan, and that's also when Aydah finds out from Ateş about the yacht. So she's looking at Dennis, are you okay with this? He agrees, so they're going on this yacht. They're having dinner, lunch, whatever, because they said it was a nice evening but it was still light outside, so okay. Anyways, they are having a meal inside that yacht. Celine gets a message from a mysterious person with the pictures of her and Dennis kissing. So she goes outside to find out who that person is. Aydah wants to go outside because she needs some air, and then Serkan gets a phone call from the person who needed to look up the wedding reservation, whatever, date, and finds out that Dennis and Aydah are really getting married on the 20th of March. So you can really see his heart crumbling kind of, and being sad that it really is happening, because I do think that he was still hoping that Ceren was right and it was all fake. So Celine sees Aydah outside. Aydah wants to come upstairs but then picks up her necklace, and I'm like, when did you lose that necklace? When did you have it on? Like, how did that necklace get there? I have no clue. Anyway, she goes back down, walks on that deck thing kind of where you just jump into the water. So her foot gets trapped kind of in that rope and she falls into the ocean. No, is it an ocean? No, it's not an ocean. Sorry, Istanbul. It's a sea. So she falls into the sea and the necklace falls onto that deck. Celine hears something, is looking down, doesn't see Aydah anymore, and that's the end. Thank God we got a trailer, so we see Aydah well and happy, blah blah blah. So my theory is, I do think that Celine is still looking for her, but because when Serkan was on the phone with that man, he was by a window, and maybe it was a window that was looking outside and he saw Aydah falling into the sea, or we see Celine redeeming herself and kind of calling for help because she doesn't see Aydah anymore. Like, there are only these two possibilities. Serkan seeing Aydah falling in, trying to rescue her, or Celine calling for help because she can't see Aydah anymore and Serkan again rescuing her. So in the trailer we see Aydah showing off a ring, and I do think it's an engagement ring. So not the diamond ring, but the one with the red ribbon, this traditional evening, the guy asking for her hand, blah blah blah. So I do think that's the ring that she's showing off. Serkan is not liking it at all. He's being really jealous. Aydah spraying perfume in his office. We then see Serkan having a physical reaction once again, like he had when he saw her in the yellow dress, like his heart palpitations, whatever. And then we see Serkan and Aydah being really close. Celine seeing them, questioning them, what is happening, because Aydah is really close to him. So either she did spill something on him, but I do think that her hair kind of caught into his vest or something. Then we have Ceren talking to Deniz and him being really angry. Oh, what I forgot to say is that Ceren confessed her telling Serkan the truth to Deniz and he loses it. Anyways, her telling Deniz that he should tell Aydah that he's in love with her because he was still very angry at Ceren. Why did she tell Serkan the truth? And then the last thing we see is Serkan entering the old office where the old lady was, where Aydah was putting on her wedding dress, and he stops in his tracks and is looking at her really mesmerized and just in shock, but a positive one to see her like that, and then him complimenting her, telling her that she looks amazing. So I'm hoping for the Sanchal Kapımı team that that's the moment where Serkan regains his memory, because that's the last time he saw Aydah, her in her wedding dress. So I really do hope for Serkan to regain his memory in this moment, because that's the only way it would make sense for him to regain his memory. Him then remembering, telling her that if he goes away 100 times or something like that, he will fall in love with her 100 times. I don't remember his exact words, but they were amazing, and I do think that's the moment he will remember her, and I really do hope that he does, because if not, then I've lost all hope in Sanchal Kapımı, and it's just getting really frustrating. So yeah, is there anything else? I don't think so. I hope I said everything. I hope I mentioned everything. If you still like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this episode. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Ring that bell to be notified whenever I post something, and I will see you next time. Bye!